This is the London Ear on RTE 2XM. My name's Nessy, and today I'm delighted to be joined by BLÁNID. BLÁNID, hello, how are you?
Hiya, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Listen, it's about I was trying to figure out when I last had you on the show. It's probably about 2 years at this stage.
I think it is 2 years, yeah, because it was after my first single, Fool's Gold, I think that I was talking to you.
Now, a lot has happened in that time. And I wanted to get you on so people could find out about this tour that you're going on with Judy Collins, who I have to say, Judy is an absolute lady. I had the privilege of interviewing her before I moved over here to the UK. And she's a fantastic lady. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. But you also have a new single out, and I want to find out more about this because this is a little bit of a change in direction. And
Mhm.
I like it a lot.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it is. It is a little bit different from my other stuff. It's more direction that I hope to be going in. So yeah, I'll tell you a bit about it. It's called Tourists, and it's had a little bit of an interesting story to it, I suppose. I first came up with a few ideas for it during lockdown, and I was on an app called Clubhouse at the time, and I um, started talking to a singer-songwriter on there called Christian Burns, who was in a band called BBMAK. He more does kind of electronic stuff now. He's a wonderful producer and writer. So I sent him over the song to ask him what he thought of it. And he sent it back and he said, I hope you don't mind. I could hear these other sections in there and I just added them in. And I thought, incredible, I absolutely love it. And then I added lyrics for it. Then it was earlier this year. I went over. I've been working with a wonderful producer in Belfast called Danny Ball, who we really share kind of like a hive mind when it comes to this sort of stuff. He takes my garbled my my garbled wants and needs for the tracks and just brings them to life. So we were putting the track together, and I had these large sections of oohs in there. And Danny suggested something rhythmic go in there instead. And I thought, let me think of some words that could go in there instead. The whole song is about unrequited love and wishing that someone, felt the same way as you did. But since I'd had that time and distance from the track, I took the opportunity in those extra sections to make it much more reflective, which is where the name of the song comes from. So whilst the verses and the kind of little middle eights are more about the two sides of the story, my side and Christian side, because he features on there. The bits in between talk about being tourists in one another's lives, and is much more kind of a removed reflection on the track as a whole. So yeah, it's really kind of had a journey to it.
How did you find the collaboration process? Because if you're used to writing on your own, and this is like first kind of major foray into collaboration, and it's all been done online, which I
Mm-hmm.
mean, life was happening online. Let's be honest. I mean, we're still using that. That's one good thing that came out of the pandemic is that we have all these tools and technologies that we should have been using beforehand to like connect the world. It's a global world. Like we should have been far more interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's me here and someone in Australia or whatever, we should have been using those technologies. But when when is the first time when you're kind of approaching this new direction, this new way of working? And again, you have to lay your soul bare almost to, and be very open and very, no, I don't like that. Yeah, that's working. Or, whatever the opinions you have, it's still your baby and you have to like, you're handing it over to some bloke on the internet.
Yeah, I know it was a strange thing because I've done co-writing since. I did a wonderful track with Kieran Lavery, and we did that in person, and it definitely is different, kind of co-writing online to how it is in person. But I think really Christian made that process so lovely and so easy. I had a call with him to start with, and I played in some of my music on the call, and he said, I love it so much, and kind of boosted me up so much. It was one of the first times I'd really shared my music with someone. So I think that he was so kind, and the way that he came back just said, "This is what I heard. It's totally fine if you don't want to put this in there." And I just felt really empowered to move with it, as well as the fact that I loved what he'd done. So
I as I'm talking to you, I'm just having a little bit of a look online. I do think that BBMAK are on a now that's what I call music
I,
compilation I have
I,
here somewhere in here.
I think they probably are. Yeah.
For people who don't know, they're originally from Liverpool. They were around in the late 90s, if I'm correct.
Yes.
They had a few. They sold quite a number of records too.
Yeah, I think they did some really large tours and stuff as well. Yeah, and then Christian's more in kind of the writing scene now. He's done stuff with BT, with Tiesto. Yeah, yeah, very cool.
Wow, great. So is this going to be like a standalone thing, or is there something more that, are you going to collaborate with Christian again?
It'd be wonderful to collaborate with him again. We haven't discussed that sort of thing yet, but we stay up to date with each other, kind of what's kind of going on in each other's lives. So I don't know about further collaboration, but he's definitely a friend, which is lovely.
It leads nicely that this is happening at this time because you're going on tour with Judy Collins. I mean, as I said at the start, Judy Collins is a lady. Um, I mean, I remember meeting her, and uh, it's there's almost like when I walked into the room, there's almost like this aura of like the only other person that I can right now think of that I would put in the same or on the same little pedestal or on the same throne is probably someone like Dolly Parton, to be quite honest with you, because they're both elder states ladies
Hmm.
of their genres and whatever. But I mean, what Judy has done and the songs that she has written, um, it's just phenomenal. And getting to share the stage and getting to open for her is a massive, massive honor.
It absolutely is. I am so excited about it. I actually had the pleasure of supporting Judy earlier in the year as well in January, which was really nice for us to meet before going on this tour together. And I think two things surprised me. One, she was a lot smaller than I thought she'd be, and I'm quite small as well. So I was like, oh, and she is just the loveliest person you could possibly meet. I was nervous about meeting her, obviously, because she has such an illustrious career. But yeah, she was so kind and so encouraging, and kind of when she went up for her, obviously her main set, she called me out and asked for the audience to appreciate me, and yeah, she was just amazing. And on top of that, her vocal range, I mean, I think she's 83. Her vocal range is still absolutely fantastic, and she has such a sweetness and qualities to her voice, and an incredible musicality and emotion when she performs on stage. So it was incredible to see her do her thing in January and be inspired by that. And I can't wait to open for her on these UK dates. It'll be amazing.
It's fantastic, I think, to like what happened in Greenwich Village in New York in the 60s is stuff of legend.
Mm-hmm.
It is stuff of legend. And Judy was in the middle of all that and has
Yeah.
written some fantastic songs. We'll play some of them, I think, probably throughout the show today, or later on after our interview, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have the opportunity to go and find out about the stories and find out about the history and hopefully just sit down and have conversations with someone who was there, it's really, really inspiring. And it kind of gives you a lift of like every generation has something. And there's something really special going on in this post pandemic world. And hopefully in 60 years' time, this, whatever, we look back at this time and go, yeah, that was a change that was
Mhm.
there. But the to have the ability to just shoot the breeze, find out what was going on, find out what she thought of things, and you know who her friends were. I know she's previously told me some stories about little Bobby Zimmerman, which I thought was fantastic. But just to be able to like gain knowledge and wisdom from an artist like that is just incredible.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I'm so looking forward to being able to have those sorts of conversations with her, and she has already given me kind of some little bits of advice kind of after the shows and stuff. But I think kind of a little funny thing that she will do is obviously when she's telling a story, because she tells her stories on stage as well, she'll say Bob. Oh, you know Bob Dylan, and just these absolute titans. Her being one of them, obviously of that time, and still so influential now. Is just part of her tapestry of life, which it's just incredible.
So when is this tour kicking off?
So it kicks off on Thursday, the 28th of September, in the Barbican in London. And then I think we have 7 other dates after that around the UK. So it'll be Manchester, Leeds, Edinburgh, Bury St Edmunds, Kent, and there's going to be somewhere that I've forgotten on there.
They'll all be on Judy's website.
It'll come
They'll
to
be
me.
on your website too.
It's on my website and Judy's website. Yeah.
So what's the next step? Because you have these, it just seems like things have stepped up a little notch for you.
Yeah, I hope so. I never want to count the chickens before they've hatched or anything like that. But I think it feels exciting at the minute. I've just released Tourists. I've got another track coming out in about a month, 5 weeks time, basically halfway through the tour, which will be called Hollow, which I'm so excited to release. And I've got another bank a bank of singles and an album already sketched out, which I'm going to go start recording next year in the spring. So yeah, really hoping to just put stuff out there and just kind of really ramp things up.
Awesome. It has been lovely chatting to you again today
You
on the
too.
show. Um, I'm really interested in this like 90s boy band kind of, do I call them boy band? But in this 90s collaboration, because if you look at, I know, let's say in the late 90s, I remember that I always used to be fascinated like that people like Alicia Zatic, who had
Mhm.
this real indie girl kind of thing going on. They were the Pool sisters, and their dad was in can't remember. He was in a band in the 60s, but they were collaborating with Kathy Dennis, who was writing in the 80s.
Hmm.
And like Kathy Dennis went on to write like Kylie Minogue stuff, and
Mm.
she's a legend. So it always fascinates me how, musicians, just because some people are not in the public eye doesn't mean they're not working in the industry. And it shows that just you don't have to be the face of smash hits or the face of Vogue or whatever to have a very, very healthy um, working career in the music industry. And I think from the
Yeah.
outside, a lot of people can forget that. And I think it's an important thing to remember that sometimes you might be better off, you still want to go to Sainsbury's and do your shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Go to Sainsbury's, do your shopping, and do what you love all day, every day, and do it exactly how you want to do it without any restrictions.
So, what are you up to for the rest of the day? Tell us.
For the rest of the day, well, I'm working on a new song, so I just want to finish off some of the lyrics for that and get a rough version of it down, and do a bit of rehearsal for this wee tour I've got coming up.
Ah, you need to take a break, though. You need to take a break.
I'll take a break. I'll take a walk outside later.
Listen, it's been lovely again to catch up with you. If people want to find out more about you, what's your website?
www.blanid, that's BLANID.co.uk.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Best of luck in the tour.
Thank you.